How's it, everyone? It's Jamie Lee, aka Wax Me Jamie Lee, just your friendly neighborhood wax lady, and welcome to my first podcast, Inside the Beauty Room. As you can see, I'm inside my own waxing studio here in Upland, California. If you've been a client of mine for a while, you already know that this podcast has actually been a dream of mine for quite some time. So the day finally came where I'm going to try and get this off the ground. And essentially what I'm trying to do, and the theme of this podcast is, I want to try and bridge the gap between beauticians and clients, and not in the way you're thinking. What's actually going on inside the beauty room? Why are clients so loyal to certain beauticians versus others? What's actually being said? What keeps the client coming back? That information that's going on that nobody knows about, right? Like, I'm sure if you have a hair lady that you've had for many years and she lives in your neighborhood, or she starts off in your neighborhood, right? And then she moves like clear across town, hour to an hour and a half. Some clients will stay loyal and follow her wherever she goes. And that goes with any beautician, lash girls, wax ladies, nail techs, everyone. And what is actually going on there that keeps people loyal? Why is it called beauty therapy? And that's what we're going to jump into on this podcast. So because of it being a beauty podcast, there will definitely be some episodes of like client do's and don'ts, client 411s, beautician do's and don'ts, and beautician 411s, just sprinkled out. But what I really want to focus on is the relationship between the two. All right, so let's talk about when both meet, when a beautician and a client meet. From a client standpoint, and I'm sure you all can relate, is when you meet your hairdresser, of course, or nail tech or wax lady. Of course, you want to know if they're going to do a good job, or if their style matches your style, if their vibe matches your vibe. But also, how are they on a personal level? Are they going to communicate? Are we going to have deep conversations? Are we going to talk about stuff? Or are we just going to be very just surface level, you know? And same for a beautician, like for me on that side as well. And other people can relate. When I meet a client, I'm like, I wonder how this is going to go, if we're going to vibe, if we're going to have deep conversations, or is it just going to be surface? Because you'll immediately know, whether you're the beautician or the client, that if you're going to vibe with her, if you're going to vibe with your person. And more than likely, if you're not vibing, the client never comes back, right? They're like, I wasn't feeling her, it wasn't the same, I'm going to find somebody else. But if they come back, that's kind of like your green flag, like your go, like, okay, she's coming back, I'm going to see her, so this is going to be a regular thing. So now that she's going to be regular and she sees you every 4 to 6 weeks or every 2 months, you know, what's the conversation going to surround? You know, what are we going to talk about? And most of the time, we can all agree, it always falls in relationships. And I'm not saying it's just relationship stuff that cause a client to seek out a beautician or vice versa, you know, but it definitely is a big factor when dealing with the beauty industry, because, you know, nothing inspires you more or triggers you more than love. You know, like, you break up with someone, chop my hair off. You met a new guy, make my nails really nice. You know, it's a thing. So I feel like that's where the doors open, and then the relationship becomes established. I mean, but there's many different reasons why we need that, and it's more than just a service. It's actually being service, like connection and listening. And it's not always every client, every beautician have that relationship, but this podcast is for the ones who know, who have that relationship. You know, this is for you guys. And I want to bring it to the table because there's so much value in the conversations that go on inside the beauty room that should be shared. I've learned nobody is a licensed therapist, right? Beauticians are not licensed therapists. We're pretty much just, you know, the cheaper version, what they call it, the I wish version of therapy. But even our clients, you know, they're not our therapists, but so much is said, so much is learned through life experience. And I think everybody's story should be shared. For me personally, with my clients, you know, I've seen them through marriages, I've seen them through divorces, I've seen them through their entire pregnancy, and they give birth and baby's like 5 and 6 years old now, or I've seen them through miscarriages. I've seen my clients through a lot of big life things. And I'm sure as a beautician you have too with your clients. Like, we are the most steady, what's the word I'm looking for? We are the most constant. Like, they're very consistent in people's lives. They come to us more than they go to an actual therapist, or they come to us more than they actually go to a family function, you know, or something. Like, we're just so consistent in clients' life, and vice versa. And even with my clients, like, sometimes I'm going through stuff and I can't show up for them, and they just blow my mind, and they're like, Jamie, listen to me, let me tell you something. And I'm like shook, because I've learned so much in what they shared in their experience. So yeah, I love that. I love connecting with clients, and I love to hear stories like that. And I'm gonna try and have different beauticians on, like lash girls or nail techs, and see, you know, what kind of relationships they have with their clients, and then vice versa. I have a lot of clients who are like, Jeannie, I want to be on your podcast, I got stuff to say. And I'm like, okay, let's see, you know. So yeah, it's gonna surround a lot of like what comes up, like a lot of like relationship advice, a lot of divorce advice, a lot of spiritual advice, self-love, healing journey. Like, there's so, like, sky's the limit. We're gonna touch it all. We're gonna try and touch all the bases. So, and give me back the feedback on how excited I'm excited. Obviously, like, I talk with my hands, so I'm like, if my hands are going crazy, I'm super excited. So yeah, I mean, that wraps up my first episode of this little introduction into my podcast. If it sounds like this is up your alley, don't forget to subscribe, like, follow, share with a friend, and I can't wait to get this off the ground, you guys.